Hello, I'm Professor GM. Recently, a student of mine asked me about basic tonal production on the violin and what factors are involved in creating a beautiful sound. First of all, let's separate the two hands. The left hand has really only two functions. The left hand plays the right notes. It plays them in tune, of course, which goes along with that, and it can vibrate. That's all the left hand can do. If I tried to just play a note with the left hand, it would sound like that, which is not too impressive to listen to, honestly. So really, when we talk about tonal production, what we're really talking about is the bow and our right arm and how we move the bow. I believe that there are three main components of basic violin tone. They are the following: bow pressure. In other words, how much do you push down with the bow through the index finger? Do you push a lot, like this? Or do you push a little? You'll notice if I push, let's say, really a lot, I get this. Push a little less, I get that. Push a little less, and a little less, and a little less. So I just made 5 very basic sounds with only through bow pressure. The next factor is bow speed. How fast do we draw the bow? Do we draw the bow really fast? Or do we draw it really slow? This greatly affects the tone too. If we draw really fast, the tone tends to be a little bit more free and a little bit more airy. If we draw slow, the tone tends to be more compact and also a little bit louder. The last factor has to do with point of contact, and I find this is what I talk to students the most about. This is one of the hardest things to really master about the violin, and that is, where is the ideal point of contact? Is it close to the bridge? Is it on the fingerboard? Or is it somewhere in between? People have speculated about this. There's a school of thought that talks about 5 different points of contact, that this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that you always shift between these 5. But in fact, there are infinite possibilities, and this is one of the things that makes playing the violin so beautiful, is you can get an infinite amount of nuances, of colors, depending upon how your point of contact and how that relates to the other 2 issues we talked about. As a default, I recommend having the bow pretty much right between the fingerboard and the bridge. And this is what I spend most of my days telling my students. You're gonna get a nice, healthy violin sound if you keep the bow pretty much right between the bridge and the fingerboard. Now, if you want to play louder, of course you need to go closer to the bridge. But what if I want to play louder and still use the same speed of bow that I used here? It's going to sound like that. So I'm going to have to slow the bow down, and I'm going to have to apply more pressure if I want to play close to the bridge. If I play with less pressure on the bridge, it's going to sound like that. If I want to play on the fingerboard, it's the opposite. I have to play fast bow and very little pressure. If I try to have more pressure on the fingerboard, the tone is going to choke. So what playing the violin beautifully is really about is a lot of experimentation and finding the ideal combination at all times between bow pressure, bow speed, and point of contact. And this is what professionals spend most of their time doing in the practice room.